And so shortly after midnight, we were at the hotel, and we were also with a couple of friends of ours, and we received a text from Brandon's wife. And that text told us that Brandon had been stabbed. And so we started scrambling in the hotel room, and we got her on the phone and talked through that. He had been taken to St. Anthony Hospital. And so that was about the extent of what we knew at the time. So Renee and I contacted the friends we were with in Chicago and asked them if they could keep an eye on the children. And of course they said yes. And so we didn't wake the children. And Renee and I bolted home. And when we were 3/4 of the way back to Crown Point from Chicago, we got a call. And it was one of Brandon's friends that was with them, and she was then at the hospital, and she had made the comment that the medical staff felt like Brandon was going to be fine. So that was a huge relief, right? And so we finished the trip to Crown Point. We went in, Renee and I, and Brandon was in the emergency room, and he was lucid. He was in a lot of pain, but he was talking. And what we were told by the medical staff was that there was they described it as a nick on his liver. And so we were waiting for the surgeon, and it was somewhat eerie how often the medical staff reassured us he was going to be fine. I mean, it happened at least 6 times. I remember vividly someone telling either Renee or I or Brandon's wife, he's going to be fine. And so I really equate that just to the Spirit being through this whole thing and extending calm to us and confidence.
Like Brandon would have wanted to.
Yeah. And it was so true to his character, right? And so Renee had peeled off to update some family members on Brandon's condition. And I went with him and his wife as they wheeled him on the surgical gurney towards the surgery room. And when we got to the point in the hospital where I had to stop, and also his wife, they continued taking him. I leaned over and I give Brandon a kiss on his forehead, and I told him I loved him, and he looked up and said, "I love you too, Dad." And those were the last words I heard him say this side of heaven, and I'll always remember that, just the sweetness of it. And so they came back, and with an equally disturbed look on their face, and they said that Brandon is going to die. And I remember collapsing and just falling to my knees. And they said that they were going to close him up, and that he might have an hour to live. They were foster parents.
They were already foster parents.
That was actually interesting. Them becoming foster parents was a total surprise to Renee and I. We didn't know that they were doing it. And all of a sudden, Brandon and his wife said, we're foster parents. We're waiting for our first placement. And Renee and I looked at each other and says, "Did you know anything about that?" She said, "Nope." And but again, it's so beautiful in this orchestration.
Yeah.
Because the